With the recent release of Terrifier 3, I wanted to rank all of the movies starring Art the Clown as the main star. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say this is purely subjective. You guys may have a different list, and if you do, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd be interested to hear why you rank certain movies higher than the others. But starting out in last place, in my personal opinion, you have All Hallows Eve, which is an anthology series starring Art the Clown more or less as the main character. It takes 3 of Damien Leone's short films combined into one, making Art the Clown the star in this full anthology series, which has to do with The Circle 9, which is Damien Leone's first short film, the original Terrifier short film, and then some new characters with a completely different storyline, which really doesn't have anything to do with Art the Clown. Now, the reason it ranks so low is because there's not much storyline. We don't really know anything about Art the Clown. Especially in The Circle 9, Art the Clown is not the main character. He plays a pretty decent role, but he's not that main antagonist. And when The Circle 9 dropped, we had no idea about the lore behind Art the Clown. He was just a killer clown. We had no idea that he would turn into what he's into now. So for me, All Hallows Eve is at the bottom. You then have the original Terrifier movie, which, yes, once again, when I first watched that movie, I was completely shocked. I had never seen a movie besides Saw with so much gore and lack of storyline. Now, when you watch Terrifier 3, you realize, wow, there was actually a pretty decent amount of backstory and lore. We just had no idea yet. But when it comes to storyline, plot, and things like that, Terrifier is very, very low on the totem pole because there really isn't much. 90% of the film is just Art the Clown killing people, with seemingly no reason, no motive, no nothing. But the one key thing that we do have at the end of Terrifier is when Art the Clown self-deletes, because that leads perfectly into Terrifier 2. And like I said, I have seen gory movies before. Movies like Saw, movies like The Human Centipede, which really isn't gory, but it's pretty disgusting. But when I first watched this Terrifier movie, man, I'm telling you, I was genuinely like, what am I watching? I had never seen some sadistic person or sadistic clown run around and kill people like that and genuinely enjoy themselves. Now, when you're talking about Terrifier movies, of course you have to talk about Terrifier 2, which in my opinion is the second best film in the Terrifier franchise. You had to see this coming. Not only were the kills absolutely insane, we have the iconic bedroom scene in this movie, which in my opinion still holds up to this day as one of the most insane kills Art the Clown has ever had, due to the fact that he genuinely sat there, poured salt on someone who was dying, and kept them alive. Sat there smiling. Now, a lot of you might say, well, Chris, you know, Terrifier 3 has a lot of insane kills where Art the Clown is a lot more comical, which we'll get into. But all in all, Terrifier 2 had a lot of storyline, it had a great plot, it had a great intro, because it leads in from Terrifier 1 when Art the Clown self-deletes. He then wakes up and kills the guy who's supposed to be checking in his body of a dead serial killer. Now, we also get more backstory and storyline around Sienna and her family, on top of pretty much what happened to Victoria. We end up finding out that, well, she survived, and she's the only survivor of Art the Clown, and the only survivor that he's ever had, which of course leads into then Terrifier 3. Now, all in all, Terrifier 2 was not a perfect film, but when you see Terrifier 3, you understand a lot more things in Terrifier 2. The way these movies actually line up, if you follow the storyline, if you follow the lore, if you pay attention to those little details, you realize that all of these movies, even All Hallows Eve, plays a pretty decent role in Terrifier 3. And then, of course, you guessed it, my favorite movie in the Terrifier franchise has to be Terrifier 3. Now, this is not recency bias, this is just genuinely how good this movie is. Now, I am going to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I suggest you click off. I'm going to be dropping my spoiler recap tomorrow. It's just taking me a little bit longer to edit it. So jumping into Terrifier 3, we get a ton of backstory, because at the end of Terrifier 2, you assume that Sienna fully killed Art the Clown. Yeah, we were completely wrong. Art the Clown did not die. He was decapitated, yes, but he was not dead. He then somehow is able to control Victoria, who was the final girl from the original Terrifier movie, which kind of plays a pretty decent role in Terrifier 2. Now, in Terrifier 3, it seems like Victoria took over the place of the Pale Girl in Terrifier 2. Now, we know nothing about the Pale Girl besides the fact that it's supposedly Art the Clown's first victim. And now, Victoria plays a massive role in this movie. We all knew she was deformed, we all knew she was crazy, we did not know that she would be controlled by a demon in this movie. And trust me when I tell you, she is catching bodies. And with Art the Clown not dying at the end of Terrifier 2, we practically knew nothing, because we all assumed he was dead. He was going to wake up in a grave somewhere, or he was going to wake up, no, Buddy's in the same exact place he was at the end of Terrifier 2, which is a perfect segue into Terrifier 3. Now, besides all of the kills in Terrifier 3, which are genuinely crazy, I don't think all of them match up to the bedroom scene, but I think a majority of them are just as gory, if not crazy, as the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. I see a lot of you guys saying, hey, Chris, you know, the kills in Terrifier 3 aren't that crazy, bedroom scene still stacks up. Yes, I agree, but the shower scene is crazy in Terrifier 3, the rat scene is insane, and in my opinion, the Santa Claus scene, not where he has the pipe bomb inside of the mall. I'm talking about when he liquid nitrogen freezes the guy who plays Santa Claus and kills him with a hammer. Bro was absolutely devious in this movie. Now, when you lead into storyline and things like that having to do with Terrifier 3, the movie itself is great. You learn a lot of things, especially with the ending of Terrifier 3, where it leads to Art the Clown waiting for the bus. The bus then picks him up, and a woman on the bus is reading The Circle 9, Damien Leone's first film, which also leads into The Circle 9 because the beginning of The Circle 9, Art the Clown is at a bus station where he abducts a woman, more or less takes her to hell, which we all assume is how Art the Clown was able to become as devious as he is, which we then find out later that the only reason Art the Clown is so devious is because he's possessed by a demon. How did he get possessed by a demon? Well, he was so evil on Earth and he was such a terrible person that he caught the attention of a demon. Now he's been possessed and used as a vessel. And that's the thing. Paying attention in a lot of these movies, especially when they don't actually go out and explain it, is very important. I see a lot of people talking online that this is just a senseless killing movie. I get it if you've never seen the other ones, or you haven't done a deep dive into the storyline or anything like that, but if you genuinely paid attention in Terrifier 3 or any of the other Terrifier movies, you will genuinely see that there is a massive massive correlation with all of these movies. All in all, Terrifier 3 is an absolutely amazing film, especially if you're a fan of the actual Terrifier franchise. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the greatest horror movie ever, but it's by far, in my opinion, one of the best horror movies of this year. And you could tell by the box office numbers that this movie is genuinely crazy. And with that, the first 10 minutes of Terrifier 3 are not that crazy. I see a lot of people saying that this is the craziest first 10 minutes. It literally holds nothing to do with the storyline at all. Art the Clown walks in, kills a young person, walks into the bedroom, kills the mom, kills the dad, and then seemingly kills a girl off screen. There was no storyline correlation, at least yet. Terrifier 4 has not yet been announced yet, but I would assume that that first family has something to do with Terrifier 4, especially with the layout and storyline that Damien Leone's going with a lot of things from the Circle 9 leading into, of course, Terrifier 3. And things with the original Terrifier and Terrifier 2 also leading into Terrifier 3. I would assume Terrifier 4 we're going to have a ton of backstory and a ton more lore details explained. But all in all, I think Terrifier 3 is by far the best Terrifier in the whole entire franchise. Yes, of course, I included All Hallows Eve, which is an anthology series with 2 of Damien Leone's short films, which do star Art the Clown as technically the star. I'm very interested to not only hear what you guys think about Terrifier 3, but how you guys would rank all of the Terrifier movies. As I said before, I'm going to be dropping my spoiler review tomorrow, just because it's taking me a little bit longer to edit. I want to make it as perfect as possible. And then we're going to get into a little bit of lore behind Art the Clown and how he became a demon, and pretty much go into a deep dive of how that all happened, how Art the Clown became the most sick and twisted horror movie slasher we've honestly ever seen. Because in my personal opinion, Jason, Michael, Freddy, none of these characters are matching up. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for the recent support on the channel. It truly does mean the world to me. And with all of that being said, guys, my name is Chris, and of course, I will catch you guys in the next one.